Crash course on jQuery. jQuery is a JavaScript library. It's a JavaScript file that we're going to load on our web page, and then when we write our JavaScript, we can use the tools or the methods that the jQuery library gives us, so we don't have to write all kinds of crazy code ourselves. jQuery is really popular. It's won the JavaScript library wars that were going on. There was also Prototype, MooTools, stuff like that. Those are still around, but jQuery is definitely the most popular. If you want to be a front-end dev, you want to learn jQuery, get good at it, you'll see it on a lot of job requirements posted. Let's see. Okay, let's just get into it. You don't even have to download jQuery because we can pull it down from the jQuery server. You can use the Google server if you want. I'm going to start with a blank web page. I have this div ID output here. I'm going to load in the JavaScript, the jQuery file. I'm loading jQuery latest, so that'll be the latest version of jQuery. Min means it's minified. They've taken out the spaces and stuff to make it load a tiny bit faster. It is a .js file, so it's just a regular JavaScript file we're loading. Okay, this doesn't do anything yet, but this says whatever we put in here, run that JavaScript, that jQuery code when the document is ready. You'll see the syntax a lot. $, parentheses, something in here, dot something else. I'll explain it all in a second here. So here we're grabbing the div ID output and we're going to throw the text hi in there. I'm going to refresh this. Okay, so we got hi. So we got some jQuery here and it's working. This is a selector. $, is used a lot in jQuery. And then when you have $ parentheses, it says whatever's inside this, grab that element for me because I want to mess with it. This is a jQuery method. There are a lot of jQuery methods. You can Google jQuery methods and you can learn them all. We'll go over them all, or we'll go over a lot of them in a future video. This is just a quick crash course so you know what you're looking at and you know how to write a little bit. So let me show you more about selectors real quick. I'm going to throw a p tag into the div just to give it a little space because there was nothing in there. And I'm going to still grab the output div, but now I'm saying, hey, use the CSS method and throw a border around there. CSS means, hey, I want to throw some new styles on here. So we're not using CSS to style it. We're actually styling our elements now using JavaScript, using jQuery. You should never use red in production, like words for colors. You should use like pound or $, or number sign, excuse me, FF0000 or something like that. But when you just mess around, you can totally use the shorthand, just the word red. So this threw a little box around that output div. Very handy. That's a good way to test if your jQuery is working. Okay, so I'm going to back this up real quick. When you're grabbing, using a selector to grab something, it'll be in single quotes or double quotes, that doesn't matter. And then whatever's in here is the thing you're grabbing. If it's an ID, you're going to use a number sign. If it's a class, you'll use a period. So here we're grabbing div class output, and we're using period output. Refresh, that still works. Okay. If you're passing a variable in here, you don't need the quotes. I'll show you that in a later video. It'll look kind of like this, the document part. Okay, here you can use two selectors, you can use multiple selectors here, just like you can in CSS. This says grab me the P inside the output div, so that would be this, and then throw the border on it, and then refresh. That does exactly that. It's just throwing a border around the P now, not the entire div. And you can also use one selector to hit multiple items. So this says, give me all the divs on the page. If there's only one, it'll just return you just that one, like we were doing before. But here I've added two divs now. When I refresh, it's performing the same action, the CSS border method, on all the divs it can find. Okay, now we're getting into some good stuff. Instead of just saying, give me an element and I'm going to change the way it looks, or I'm going to insert text in it, here we're saying when an element has an event performed on it, like a click event, like I click it with the mouse, then run this code. We're going to throw a little anonymous function in the parameter for click, and it's just going to run whatever code we put in there, even if it's a whole ton of code, when the submit button's clicked. So let's go ahead and do that. When this button's clicked, give me an alert. Throw me an alert box that says hi in it. So here's my button that says click me. That's this code here. Click it, and it says hi in an alert box. So now we're getting into some interesting stuff. That is not very cool, but how about we go back to our other example where we had our text here. So now we have our output div with the lorem ipsum p tag in there back, and we say when the submit button's clicked, throw that red border on the p tag that's inside the output div. Let's go ahead and do that. Aha! So this is where jQuery gets good. You see a lot of dynamic stuff on pages using jQuery. You know, banner sliders, you know, stock tickers, all kinds of fun stuff like that. jQuery kind of makes coding fun. Okay. So here's a real thing that we can build in jQuery, like an accordion. So let's say you have a frequently asked questions or something like that, and it's taking up way too much space. Your client says, hey, can you make that in an accordion? So it'll just show, like, you know, if I click it, it'll expand and show the whole thing, but in the beginning of the page, it'll just show me all the questions or something like that. So here's our code. Here we've got our ID output div, and we have a bunch of H3 tags, and then P tags, H3P, H3P. And here's our code. So in document ready, run all this code when the document's ready. Grab me the H3, and when it's clicked, run all this code. But what code do we have here? I'm grabbing all the H3s, and I'm putting them in a variable called H3. In this variable in JavaScript means, well, in jQuery, it means whatever selector I'm messing with is what the this refers to within a function. So this is saying grab me the H3 that was clicked, not all of them, excuse me. Grab me the H3 that was clicked, put it in this variable called H3. And this thing says whatever H3 is, give me the very next element. So in that case, it'll be the P right after the H3 that got clicked. So give me that P, call it variable P. Now, here's that if statement that we were looking at in JavaScript. So this is showing you that jQuery is just regular JavaScript with a bunch of new methods and ways to write it. But this is not jQuery here. This is just, well, this is, but this is just regular JavaScript syntax. So we have an if statement, and so this code in here, in these curly braces, will only run if this is true. What is this? Well, this is a jQuery method we're running on that H3 that we grabbed here. So this means whatever H3 got clicked, does that have the class of open? So you can see this first one does, but these later ones don't. Okay. If it does, remove that class. So these are special jQuery methods, has class, remove class. And then here's a hide method. It says, give me that P tag, and hide it. Hide just means put display none on it, that's all. Show is the opposite, it does display block. Okay, so if it doesn't have the class of open, then add the class of open to the H3 and show the P tag. So, I'll show you this in action. So you click your H3s, and they the P tag next to it will get shown and hidden. Really, we would do a lot of other stuff. We would hide these to begin with, so it would be like a proper accordion, or we would hide everything but the first sentence of each P tag. We would add a little arrow here to show like whether this is open or closed. You know, the arrow could point right if it's closed, and then down if it's open, or something like that. And we would make this cursor pointer finger so that people would know that this H3 is kind of like a link now. But no need to get super crazy. I just want to show you the jQuery functionality. I can show you how to style all that later. So there you go. That's jQuery in action.